Yes. So in the last lecture, we have started with the concept of relationships. And then I told you what are the three different steps, whenever at all we wanted to create a relationship. First of all, we should identify, what are the two objects on which we wanted to keep the relationship. The second is that once you know the object, you should know among the two objects, which one is the parent object, which one is the child object. This was the step number 2. And after this, like, go to the child object and then go to the child object, and you should create a custom field. You should create a relationship field inside the child object always. So whenever a relationship is need to be established, whenever a relationship is needed to be created, whenever we at all required to create a relationship between the two objects, the relationship field is always going to be get present inside the child object. So all of you must remember this, that whenever at all we wanted to create a relationship, we should create it inside the child object. Relationship fields are never inside the parent object. These fields are always inside the child object. Okay. So what are the different topics that we are going to discuss within the scope of this is also being discussed. Now let me start with the very first kind of relationship, that is lookup relationship. Okay. So let's create a lookup relationship between these two objects, the hiring manager and the position. Okay, these two are the objects. Let's create the relationship between them. So, if let me first log in so that I could show you. If I presently see that there is no such relationship between these two objects. So, if I, okay. First of all, create a login and go to the schema builder so that I could verify whether there is any existing relationship between these two objects or not. Guys, let me just make a switch to the Wi-Fi because actually light nahi tha, so that is why I was waiting. And I started with the mobile's network, but because now electricity has been resumed. So just give me 1 second so that I could make a switch between to a better network. Okay, so now I just wanted to have an acknowledgement with you guys, whether I'm perfectly audible to everyone or not. Just let me know. And the screen also, whether the screen and everything has been fine. Yes, any one of you, please come on in the chat. Okay, just a second. Right. So let's bring these two objects, the hiring manager and the candidate, on the canvas, that means schema window. And let's first of all verify whether they have any sort of existing relationship or not. Because these two are the custom objects, out of the selection. Let me just select the custom object. And the objects are like hiring manager and the position. So I could see that these are the two objects, and on the canvas, these are two individual objects. That means there is no such relationship between the hiring manager and the position object. Okay. There's no such relationship between these two objects. So we wanted to create a relationship, rather a lookup relationship between hiring manager and the position. So as in step number 1, we should know among these two objects, which one is the parent, which one is the child. So see, hiring manager and the position. Now, if I think over this, among these two objects, the object which should be the parent, kaun sa rehna chahiye. So what should be my thought process about this is that, how could I decide this? How could I decide this, that this is the parent, this is the child? Well, that is what I'm actually telling you guys. देखिए कैसा है, hiring manager और positions के बारे में अगर मैं थोड़ा सा एक विचार करता हूँ, and I try to identify this fact that, see, positions are always handled by any of the hiring manager. Positions are always handled by any of the hiring manager. Because see, if we have a position inside the organization, but if we don't have any hiring manager to handle this, then this position, this position cannot be closed, because we cannot recruit the candidate against this position. Why? Because if there is no hiring manager, there is no meaning of having a position. So this is point of view. Say, with all this thought process, with all this information, I consider that the hiring manager is your parent object, and the position is the child object. Now you probably also have agree with this, because अभी at your level you are always going to get a document. Always remember that, है ना? मैंने कई बार आपको बताया है, लेकिन still I want you to develop that thought process. If अगर आप धीरे धीरे आगे चल के you become a module lead, that time you yourself need to decide कि आपने कैसा modules बना के अपने subordinates को देना है. I mean, you were the person who will create that document. So when you are creating a document and you wanted these two objects to be get related, these two objects to be get associated in the lookup relationship, you must tell that this object is your parent and this of your child. So that time, what should be your thought process? That is what I was explaining. कि hiring manager object और position object के बीच में अगर मुझे ये decision लेना है कि which one among these two should be the parent, तो मैं फिर ये सोचूंगा कि किसके एग्जिस्टेंस से किसको फर्क पड़ता है और किसको नहीं पड़ता. तो अगर मैं पोजीशन की बात करूं तो देखिए, पोजीशन इज एक्चुअली लाइक समथिंग व्हिच इज बीइंग क्लोज्ड बाय द हायरिंग मैनेजर. पोजीशन का कोई भी रिकॉर्ड इज समथिंग व्हिच हैज बीन हैंडल्ड बाय द हायरिंग मैनेजर. तो पोजीशन अगर जनरेट होती है, उसके लिए हायरिंग मैनेजर है, तो ही वो पोजीशन का अपना कोई एग्जिस्टेंस है, उसका कुछ इंपॉर्टेंस है. बट इफ यू हैव अ पोजीशन एंड इफ देयर इज नो हायरिंग मैनेजर, है ना, तो उस पोजीशन का अपना कोई एग्जिस्टेंस नहीं है, उसके वजूद का कोई अस्तित्व भी नहीं है, राइट? So that is why, this, with all these good reasons to understand, I consider the hiring manager as to be the parent and position object as to be the child object. Okay. So this was our step number one. Now, this was step number one, that among the two objects, we should be in a position to identify that which one is the parent, which one is the child. Now, because it has been done, that means step number one has been completed. Now, step number two, you should go to the child object. Now, once you know who is the child, like position is the child, now you should go to the child object, and there you should create a relationship field. These relationship fields are always created inside the child object. Always remember that, the relationships are always created. The relationship field are always created inside the child object, and it is never created inside the parent. It is never ever created inside the parent. It is always created inside the child object. So let's first of all go to the position object, because position is our child object. Position is our child object. So let's go to the position object first of all. So this is my position object. And here I'm expanding this force.com quick access menu. How to create the relationship, that is I'm going to tell you. Relationship creation is as good as field creation. You probably heard, see how you probably remember how we have created all these fields inside the position object. There are 2 to 3 ways. Even the schema builder was also one of them. So how we actually created with the standard navigation, I'm asking you. See, relationship fields can also be created with the schema builder. Now, same thing, relationship is just like a field, and you know how to create a field. There are 2 different ways to create a field. One is the standard navigation. The second is your schema builder. So relationship field is also a field. Relationship is also a field. And it is created in the same way, with the same process you created all these fields. So again, if someone asks you, how could I create a relationship with what are the different ways to create that? Again, there are 2 techniques to create the relationship. One is the standard navigation. The second is your schema builder. Okay, there is no specialized way of creating the relationship. It's the same way. It's the same way you actually have created these fields inside the position object, inside the candidate object. Also, you created fields inside the hiring manager object. Also, and you created the fields. These are the fields we have created. These are the fields that we have created inside the candidate object. Same way, we need to follow with the position object also. So let me close this tab first. So I wanted to create a position, a relationship field over here. So what should I do? With the standard navigation, what should I do? I should go expand the force.com quick access menu. There's a link called as view fields. And now in front of this, there is a link called as new field. We know that, if you at all you wanted to create a new field, just go with this. So I have click on that, and I'll be launching into this particular data type page. Here, see, we have for the relationship, there's a separate section. For the relationship, there's a separate section. This is the section of relationship. Apart from all others like auto number, formula, checkup, checkbox, and like everything is below to this. But relationship, here you could see there's a separate section particularly for the relationship. Now, I was telling you, once I was telling you that when I asked this question in the interview, how many different types of relationships are there? More than 50% of the candidate, they always say that there are three different relationships: lookup, master detail, and external lookup. Why? Because if you see this on the user interface page, if you see this on the user interface, you always see that there are three different kinds of relationship: lookup, master detail, and external. So this is the reason, I told you that I will tell you the reason why most of the people only says that there are three different kinds of relationship. तो उसका reason ये है, in front of your eyes, because everyone could see that there is only three options over here: lookup, external lookup, and the master detail. So this could be one of the reason, why the most of the people in the 50% out of every 10, 5 says there are three different types of relations. Three. Some of them actually say there are four, including hierarchical. But only there are few people who could know that who says that there are altogether 6 different types of relationships. Apart from lookup, external lookup, master detail, hierarchy, there are 2 more relationships: one-to-one and many-to-many. So that is why I wanted every one of you to say this, when in the beginning itself, give the value of count so that you could grab the attention of the interviewer. When he asks you how many different types of relationship, you tell me something about the relationships. Now you need to say that there are 6 different types of relationship. Now, when you say this count, at the beginning itself, when you say the count, there are 6 different types of relationship. Immediately, you are going to grab his attention. That this is one of the distinguished candidate, and he is going to tell me something which is different from all other people. That is why it's really important, how you actually answer in the interview, and that is why we have a process called as mock interview. There we just only knowing the answer is not enough. There we actually make you train that how you should start this answer. First we ask you the question, you give the answer, and then we will make the entire rectification in your answer. Okay, you should answer this like this. So this is why the mock is actually important. This is why the mock is actually important. Anyways, तो वो तो आपके साथ भी होगा. You will actually you probably will have this. आपको भी होने वाला है आगे चल के. Anyway, so here I wanted to select the kind of relationship. Here I wanted to select the kind of relationship. So because we wanted to create a lookup relationship, so I'm selecting lookup as an option over here, and then click the next button. Now it will ask you that, see, position is your child object. Position is your child object because you are creating this relationship inside the position. Relationship fields are rather always created inside the child object. That is the thing. So let's select the other object to which this object is to be get related. That means who's the parent for this object. If your position is your child, then who's the parent? So out of the list of these all objects, I should select the parent, because we wanted the parent to be the hiring manager. So let me I'll scroll it down a little bit slowly so that I could get the name of hiring manager. And let me select the hiring manager from this list. Click the next button. Now, here you wanted to give the label of the field. See, presently these many fields are there inside, these many fields are there inside the position object. Relationship is also a field. Relationship is also a field. It will also going to be arranged somewhere in this section, probably in the information, or आप उसको चाहो तो किसी और section पे भी लेके जा सकते हो. because you know how with the page layout customizations, how to move the fields from one section to another section, how to insert the new sections and everything, rather to the beauty of this particular page, we know this, right? अभी यहाँ पर भी है ना, we are creating a field, तो field create जब हम कर रहे हैं तो उसका एक label भी होता है, उसका एक name भी होता है. So what I have done, मैंने यहाँ पे अपना cursor रखा है and I have just pressed the tab button from my keyboard. As soon as I press the tab button, this field name, API name, what is API, application program interface, इसके बारे में हम डिस्कशन करने वाले हैं आगे चल के कि व्हाट इज एन एपीआई नेम, व्हाट इज एन फील्ड नेम. फिलहाल जैसा जैसा मैं बोलते जा रहा हूँ तो थोड़ा सा उस चीज को सुन के उसको थोड़ा सा आप दिमाग में रखो. These names are always called as API names. ठीक है. So API name is going to always be created. Now you wanted this field to be maker required or not. So by default, by default, this is actually not checked. Yeah, I have this facility that I could check it. पर अभी फिलहाल हम नहीं करेंगे इसको. We don't check it and we will go with the default selection. Whatever the default selection is over here. जैसा भी default selection यहाँ दिख रहा है मुझे, I will go with the same. ठीक है. I'll not make any such modification right now. अभी तो भी नहीं करूंगा मैं, आगे का आगे देखते हैं. But presently I'll go with a very straightforward and a simple thing. I will go with the default selection. Just click the next button on this page. And you should make this field to be visible to the all profile users and then click the next button. It's very straightforward, see, and it's going to be get landed on the position layout. Okay? Every tab has its own layout. The layout name is actually same, the name of your object. So for the position, it's like position layout. Let's click the next button and you just save this. So we created one more field. We created a relationship field. See somewhere, yeah, lookup relationship. See, we created inside the position object, there's a field called as hiring manager. Inside the position object, there's a field called as hiring manager, and it's a relationship field. What kind of relationship? Lookup relationship. Let's first of all verify the field. Where this field is being created. Just observe, just deeply observe over here, and let me refresh so that a new field is going to be appeared. Okay, so you have a new field inside the page layout called as hiring manager. What is going to be indicated? If I click on this lookup icon, so it will actually display all of the records from the hiring manager. Now inside the hiring manager, we now have only one record, and that is this particular Kashish Chaudhary. So it's going to list out all the names of the hiring manager over here, the names of the hiring manager. So let me now create few of the record. Before that, we see these two objects were not related to each other. Now we have created a relationship. So let's refresh and verify. So now you could see that, there's a relationship. There's a relationship between these two. If you put your cursor over here, it's going to display what kind of relationship. It's a lookup relationship. From what? From the position to the hiring manager. During our initial discussions, I told you one thing. The pronunciation of the relationship is always starts with the child object. Whenever you wanted to describe the relationship between two objects to someone, the first name you should take is the name of the child followed by the name of the parent. And this is certain a rule of a database. Database का ये अपना एक rule होता है कि whenever I describe relationship between the two objects, so I should take the name of the child first, then the name of the parent. So between hiring manager and position, I could see that position is the child and hiring manager is the parent object. One more thing here I would like you to identify is that, see, how this interface, how this line actually looks from the end of parent and from the end of child. See how does it looks like. At the end of a parent, it's just a one line. That means one parent. But in the child, the line spreads to many. And a line spreads to many, that means many child. So the kind of relationship, the kind of relationship between this between the parent and the child is always one to many. There's always one to many. What is the association between these two? The association is always one to many. That means one parent, many child. And this is the logic, this is the logic between relationship. Always remember this. This is the logic between, this is the logic of the relationship. You create lookup, you create master detail or any type of relationship. What is the kind of association? The association is always one to many. The association is always one to many. One is your parent, many could be the child. One is the parent, many could be the child, right? So this is the association, what we see on the graphical representation, and always remember this. So this is how, this is how we actually created the relationship field by using the standard navigation. Even if you follow the schema builder, you could also create the relationship field by the schema builder also. So because I have created, I have created a relationship. Let me now create the few records inside these two objects so that मैं आप लोगों को examples अच्छे से समझा पाऊँ. So in the hiring manager also I wanted to create something. Then in the hiring manager, then inside the position object, I already have this. And let me create this few of the records inside the candidate. Okay. So let's create few of the record inside these three or some of the sample records. So to, इसके बाद के example समझाने मुझे आसान जाए. So hiring manager is like Ram Kumar, and the email ID is ramkumar@test.com. The contact number is 9988 777655. Location is Mumbai. Let me now save this record. Hello. And the next is like Ravi Tripathi. And the email ID is Ravi. Mobile number could be same. The location is like Bangalore. Save it. And the next is your Abhinav Sharma with the email ID as Abhi. And then I have 5566447799. And the location is like Pune. Let's save this. Let me clone this, and I have one more Abhinav Sharma. The email ID is like Sharma, and this is 1122234455. Okay, that belongs to Nagpur. Let me save this. Take hiring manager, and let me make few of the records so that Shweta Kumari, the email ID as Shweta@test.com. It's like 665588. With the location has to be the Kochi. Save this record and see how many records have been created. Okay, let me have few more columns over here. On this tab, I want the contact number, HR email ID, and the location also. Okay. So now see, we have all together, if we go again over here, let me have few more columns, added columns. So recent record section tha yahan pe. Contact number I wanted to see email IDs, and even I wanted to see the locations also. Let me now save this. What happened? अच्छा मैंने इधर से इधर तो स्क्वैश किया ही नहीं उसको. Add and save. So we have these many records, and Kashish we have created when these fields were not created. So let me edit this record also. Like Kashish. Contact number is 4455567788, and the location is New Delhi or Hyderabad, something like that. Save it. So now we have these many records. ठीक है, अभी इतना ही रखते हैं, बाद में और create करता चला जाऊंगा. So I have created altogether, there are 6 different records, 6 hiring manager records. Inside the hiring manager, there are 6 records. Let me now go with your position object. So if at all I wanted to see the positions, so there is no records inside the position object, right now there is no record. So let's create a new position. Position name is like Java developer. Okay. And HR email ID, I'll see it's Sfdc Kasim, or rather your batch ID. So your batch is 201. Just a second. Okay. So trainingwise201@gmail.com. It's a new position. This is the contact number. Number of vacancies for the Java developer is 10 and the location is Bangalore. Open date is probably today's date, and here actually यहाँ पे नवंबर का डेट है, but here it's showing एक दिन पहले बता रहा because ये US time ले रहा है और कुछ नहीं. Milestone date, I wanted this position to be get closed in the month of December. Before 31st of December, I wanted this position to be get closed. Minimum budget what we could give is 3 lakhs, like 1,100,000, 10,000 lakh. Maximum I could offer, maximum I could offer has to be 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs for this position. Now, any skills required? Yeah, we require Java programming, and we require something like JavaScripts, and we like JS Node as supposed to be, and we like Angular JS for that. Position description like Java developers for BNGALORE, Bangalore location. Okay, Bangalore location. Bangalore location. Okay. Travel required? Yes. Passport required? Yes. For this position, these two things are required. So let me now save this record. Let's create few more records. Java developer, Java tester. This is also one of the position, and it's a new position. And then ठीक है, बाकी चीजें ऐसे this location for the Chennai. Let me save this. Let me create one more position record. The position is like software tester, a manual tester. It's a new position, and the number of vacancies here is like 30. This position is being generated for the Delhi location, and I don't want to have this. Let me now save this. Okay, so I created I created 3 of the position records, 3 of the position records. Let me go with this. So let me have few more columns. Along with the position name, I wanted to see the hiring manager, the contact number, the location. Okay. I wanted to see all this information. Let me now save this record. See. So I could see that there's a position Java developer, there's a position Java tester, and there's a position software tester manually. These are for these 3 distinct locations. And there is no hiring manager being allotted. So one by one, let's allot the hiring manager for every position. So let's open this position Java developer once again. Okay. So I have one position called as Java developer. Okay. Java developer. Let me edit this record. So this is the record of Java developer with all these details. Now let's assign this position to one of the hiring manager. Now we have all these hiring managers. Okay. So we have all these hiring managers. So like Abhinav is there. There are 2 Abhinavs, and Kashish and Ram Kumar Ravi and Shweta Kumari. So one of them will be actually handling this position, and this Java developer. One of them will be take care of this position, and he will try to recruit the suitable guys for this position, right? So let's select the hiring manager. How to select that? There's an icon. There's a lookup icon over here. You need to click on this. So it will eventually open a dialog box like this. And here you could see that the names of all hiring manager has been listed out. So let's assume that, we are going to assign this position Java developer to the Kashish Chaudhary. So this is the hiring manager. Kashish is going to be take care of this position Java developer. So let's select the Kashish from here and let's now save the record. So now I could see that, this position has been given to Kashish Chaudhary. So if I now go to this, I could see that this position Java developer has been assigned to whom? Kashish Chaudhary, right? Then there's one more position, there's one more position. There's one more position, Java tester. Let me now open this position, Java tester. So this is Java tester record, and it's being not allotted to any of the hiring manager. So there are two ways to make an editing. I already told you there are two different ways to make. Either you press this edit button and you are going to be landed on the edit layout. Okay. Here you could make whatever the editing is required. There's one more way on the detail page itself. This is the detail page. You could make the editing. This sort of editing is called as inline editing. Just make a double click over here. And just make a double click and this will appear in the editable form. This particular field will appear in the editable form. So make a double click over here and just click this icon and like select this Shweta Kumari select here and let's save this. Okay. So this is also one of the way to make the editing. Okay, this is also one of the way to make editing. Now, if I go and refresh this, I could see that this position Java developer has been assigned to Kashish, Java tester has been assigned to Shweta Kumari. There's one more position which is left is software tester manual. Okay, software tester manual. So this is this position. Let me assign a hiring manager for this is actually Ravi Sharma. Okay. So for the Ravi Sharma, we have any more, if you wanted to write the position description, manual software tester, manual software tester for New Delhi location. That's it. Press the OK. Now see, abhi ye changes are not committed unless and until you click the save button. These changes are not going to be get committed inside the database. अभी तक ये सिर्फ पेज लेआउट पे कमिट हुआ है. जब तक आप इसको सेव का बटन नहीं प्रेस करोगे ना, तब तक these changes are not going to be get committed है ना. Nothing is going to be get reflected on the database. अगर मैं database से position object में अगर check करूं तो अभी भी पुराना ही record होगा. Unless and until I save this. When I save this, this new record will be going to get transferred inside the your database object. तो ये ध्यान रखना कि अगर आप सेव बटन प्रेस नहीं करोगे ना, तो जो भी चेंजेस आपने किए हैं दैट इज नॉट एट ऑल गोइंग टू बी गेट रिफ्लेक्टेड ऑन द डेटाबेस. तो अगर आप चाहते हो कि वो डेटाबेस पे जाएं तो उसके लिए आपको सेव बटन प्रेस करना जरूरी है. ठीक है. नाउ लेट्स सी we have three positions and these three positions are being allotted to the hiring managers. ठीक है. So this was like the relationship. Candidate पे बाद में आता हूँ. Candidate पे बाद में आता हूँ. Now I could see that I created a relationship. I created a relationship between the hiring manager and the positions. And the positions, every position, every position record so we created, these are being allotted to the hiring managers. These are being allotted to the hiring manager. Okay. Now see, if I go to the new position, let's have a few of the discussions over here because we already have created the relationship. Let's talk about few of the observations. We created the lookup relationship, right? We created a lookup relationship between the positions and the hiring manager, where your position is the child object, your hiring manager is the parent object. So we created the relationship field inside the position because it's a child object. Okay. Now let's talk about few of the observations that we have observed during this whole process. The first thing was like when I have created this relationship, let me go to this setup menu once again. And let's have these two on the schema builder. So the first thing is like what we have observed over here, what we have observed over here. When we created this relationship, and the first thing what we have observed is that upon mapping the lookup relationship between the two objects, it provides one-to-many association by default. One-to-many means what? One parent and many childs. Okay. This we already have discussed. Let me once again, because of the discussion chal raha hai. So let me once again show you. Okay, one kahan pe hota? One is from the parent end. One is always from the parent end. Here it is one. And here it is many. One to many. So between parent and child, the association is always one parent, many child. Take a one parent, many child. So this is something what we have just now we have identified. Point number one. Point number two is that the lookup relationships can be formed between the two objects if the child object have some of the previous records. So, even if the position was having some of the record, we were able to create the relationship. ऐसा ही है, ठीक है? ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि इसमें अब this is why we are learning this, because this is not going to be same in the master detail. ये देखने वाले हम आगे चल के. So inside the position object, there were few record. If there were few old record, you still are able to create the relationship. तो lookup relationship आप तब भी create कर सकते हो ना, the time when the records are there. स्टिल यू कुड क्रिएट द रिलेशनशिप. कि रिलेशनशिप तब भी क्रिएट हो सकती है अगर आपके चाइल्ड ऑब्जेक्ट पे कुछ पुराने रिकॉर्ड्स पहले से हों, तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, यू कुड क्रिएट अ लुकअप रिलेशनशिप. ठीक है, व्हाई दिस पॉइंट इज एज सो इम्पोर्टेंट, बिकॉज अभी ये दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ पॉइंट ऑफ डिफरेंस बिटवीन लुकअप एंड मास्टर. अभी कैसे ना, आफ्टर फ्यू ऑफ द टॉपिक्स लाइक लुकअप डायलॉग बॉक्स कॉन्फ़िगरेशन एंड लुकअप फिल्टर कॉन्फ़िगरेशन, आवर नेक्स्ट टॉपिक विल बी द मास्टर डिटेल रिलेशनशिप. ठीक है. Now, after the master detail relationship and after observation of the master detail relationship, this everything has been done. तो अभी जैसे हम लुकअप के लिए डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, ऐसा ही एक डिस्कशन वी आर गोइंग टू इनिशिएट after I taught you this master detail relationship. So once these two thing has been done, जब ये दो चीजें मैं आपको पढ़ा दूं ना, तो उसके बाद आप सभी लोगों को you all required to create a relationship differences between the lookup and the master. और वो किस फॉर्मेट में निकालना, I'm going to show you that also. ठीक है, मैं बताऊंगा आपको, I'll show you the format. Okay, I wanted you to create, every one of you to create a relationship differences between the lookup and the master. So this will be a point of difference at that time. Okay, if the child containing some of the, if the child containing some of the child containing some of the previous records at this point, even though you could create a lookup relationship, but this is not with the case of master. So master detail पे discussion करेंगे. Now, in the lookup relationship, the lookup field is an optional field. Lookup field is an optional. What does it mean? See, when I closely take a look of all the fields that are present on this page layout, I could find that the name is a mandatory field. HR email ID is also a mandatory field. Your contact number is not mandatory. Number of vacancies is mandatory. Location is mandatory. These two fields are even mandatory. These two fields are not mandatory. Some of the fields are mandatory, some of the fields are not mandatory. That means some of are required, some are optional field, you could say. That even though if without selecting this, you could save the record. What about the field what we have created? The relationship field we created looks like with this. Now, if you closely see, does this field is a mandatory? The answer is no. The lookup field matlab this field is not at all mandatory. This field is not mandatory. Means, can I save a record without selecting hiring manager? Yes, of course you can do that. Let's have a look on this. Like the position name, the position name could be, sales manager. HR email ID is your HR email ID is your batch email ID. It's like Sfdc. HR email ID is Sfdc. This. Okay. Contact number is this probably. Number of vacancies is 10. Location is for probably Chennai. Okay. Open date is today's date, and the milestone date is somewhere a date, around November 30th. This is the minimum budget 3 lakh. The maximum budget is 6 lakh we could offer to this position. Passport not required, travel not required. No, I'm not giving any description. Now see, without even selecting the hiring manager, could I save the record? Because this is a lookup field and it's appeared to be a non-required field. Let me try to save this record and see what happens. Nothing. We are able to save a record. We are able to save a record without selecting the hiring manager. That means without selecting the parent, we could also save the record. Now, if I go to the position and I try to see, yes, I created a position called a sales manager that doesn't have any hiring manager. It's not an issue. It's not even bothering me. It's not stopping me to save this record because I haven't selected a parent record for this. So in the lookup relationship, the lookup field is an optional field. Lookup field is an optional field. That means a child could have or couldn't have a parent. A child may or may not be get associated with the parent. Even without having a parent, there could be a child record. See, the sales manager is a child record because it's inside the position. Position is a child object. Now, this particular record this particular sales manager record, it doesn't have any hiring, it doesn't have any hiring manager, this doesn't have any parent, still the record is there, still the record is there. So this is again one of the point of discussion, and rather a point of difference between the hiring your lookup and the master. Aage chal ke. Okay, the next, upon removing the parent record, let's see what happens to the child record. Let's see what happens. So see, for there's a position called a Java developer. For the Java developer, who's the hiring manager? Who's the parent? Kashish Chaudhary is the parent. Let me open the record of Kashish Chaudhary. This is the parent. This is the parent record. This is the parent record for this Java developer. Java developer is the child. Parent is Kashish. Now, if I delete the Kashish, if I delete this particular parent record, let me delete this record. Now we don't have, we don't have Kashish Chaudhary. If I go to the hiring manager and if I click go every button, there's no such record called as Kashish Chaudhary. Kashish Chaudhary record is deleted. Okay. What happened to this Java developer? Let me now refresh and see what happens. Nothing. The Java developer is there. The matlab child record is still there. Only the parent is deleted and the association is deleted. Only the parent is deleted and the association is also get deleted. That means I could say that upon removing the parent record, only the parent will get removed. So if आपका parent record remove होता है, but all the associated child, जितने भी child record थे, they will there in the database. Nothing happens to the child. Only the parent is gone. Only the parent is gone and nothing happens to the child. Child को कुछ नहीं होता है. देखो यहाँ से हट गया. Association हट गया. Now what happens if I restore the record? चलो वो भी देख लेते हैं. Go to the recycle bin. And here I could see the name of the Kashish Chaudhary. Let me select this and press this undelete, the restore button. Now let's go to the hiring manager once again. I have a record called as Kashish Chaudhary. I have a record called as Kashish Chaudhary. I could see this. There is a record Kashish Chaudhary. It has been restored. Now what about the relationship? Kashish was the parent of this Java developer previously. Now let's now refresh this. See what happens to Java developer Kashish Chaudhary. That means if the record is restored, if the parent record is restored, the relationship is also going to be get restored. Okay? Parent delete karoge, तो only parent will gone along with the relationship. But when you restore the parent record, जब आप parent record को restore करते हो, तो relationship is also get restored. Okay? Your relationship is also get restored. Someone has just joined. Who's this? Probably Manju. Someone has just joined. Okay, Akshay. Akshay, you joined late anyway. Okay, chalo. So this was, this was the number 4th point, probably, or 5th point. Now, these were all जो हम अभी हमने relationship field create किया उसके हिसाब से देखा. Now there are few points जो अभी ऐसे तो मैं नहीं आपको मतलब ऐसा live दिखा नहीं सकता, but yes, you should know about these points. ठीक है? These are some of them are governor limits, some of them are the kind of features of the lookup relationship जो आपको याद करना है. First of all, a child could be associated with 40 parents. An object can maximum have 40 lookup relationship field. Now what does it mean? देखो. If I go to the schema builder, if I go to the schema builder, I found that this position is this position is the child, and who's the parent? Hiring manager is the parent. Okay. Now, apart from this, अभी तो देख रहा है कि position का parent कौन है? There's only one parent. Position का parent कौन है? There's only one parent, and the parent is hiring manager. There could be one more object. Okay, there could be one more object which is actually related. There could be one more object which is related with your ये कौन सी क्या चीज है यार, ये होना चाहिए. हाँ, there could be one more object which is actually related. There is one more object which is related with the position, and here also position is child. Here also position is child, and this object is parent. Let me have one more object. Let me have one more object. So one more object is there which is related. One more object is there which is related. One more object is there which is related. And these all objects, these all objects are actually related with what? These all objects are actually related with the position, where position is child and this is parent. Here also position is child, this is parent. Here also position is child and this is parent. Okay. So this position object is child object. Who's the parent? Hiring manager is the parent. Object number 1 is the parent. Object number 2 is the parent. Object number 3 is the parent. Object number 4 is the parent. And let's consider this as object number 5. Is also parent. So I could say that this position object is associated with 5 parents. This position object is associated with 5 parents. How many parents it could have? How many parents maximum it could have? That means we are talking about something called as governor limits. So a child could be associated with 40 parents, but in case of lookup relationship. So this object, any of the object, not just the position, any of the object, किसी object के 40 parents हो सकते हैं in case of lookup relationship. It could be associated with 40 different objects in the lookup relationship. So this is one of the governor limits. The next is the sharing settings and the security settings. Child is completely independent of the parent and there is no such relationship. ये क्या point है? ये जब से I'll start the security concept तब मैं आपको ये बताऊंगा. ठीक है? I'll start the security. I'll tell you. The next is roll up summary. There's something called as roll up summary. ये क्या होता है ये भी बताऊंगा मैं आपको. So roll up summary cannot be created on the lookup. Roll up summaries are always created on the master detail. Roll up summaries are always created on the master detail. लेकिन एक ऐसी सिर्फ एक ही ऐसी lookup relationship है. There's only one lookup relationship where you can create the roll up summary. ये कौन सी ये भी बताऊंगा मैं आपको. ठीक है? And then one important point. This is something important point. I consider this to be an important point. Why? Because this is one of the flexibility with the your lookup relationship. This is one of the flexibility. Lookup relationship is much flexible relationship. You know, the parent object and the child object. This could be even standard, even custom. Child could be standard or custom. That means, you know, that means if your parent is standard, child could also be the standard object. The child could also be the custom object. Okay, the child could also be a custom object. If your parent is a custom object, child could be even the standard object also, and child could be custom object also. Custom to custom, custom to standard also. So this is one of the flexibility that we get only with the your lookup relationship. Master detail में ऐसा नहीं होता. So this is one of the important point. ये भी आपको याद रखना है. ठीक है? So these are some of the observations that we have seen today while creating the lookup relationship between the two objects. And this is today's assignment for everybody. You also need to create a relationship between the hiring manager and the position. Which kind of relationship? Lookup relationship. Okay. So today I'm going to end up over here. By tomorrow, I'm going to start with a few more customizations related to this, something called as a lookup dialog box and lookup filter. These two topics probably I'm going to take it tomorrow. And after that, once these two things has been completed, we will start with the master detail relationship. Okay. So let me first of all stop the recording.